Hi, it's Jessie James Beads here. My name is Jem. Today I want to work with you to create a super easy, super fast gift suitable for anyone. Need a bookmark? Reading a book? Let's get down to the board, have a look at what we're going to create together today. I've chosen to work with Mermaid Grotto. Those blues are so cool. Let's get cracking. Today I'm choosing to create with Jessie James Beads Mermaid Grotto, and what a beautiful bead mix this is. You've got mermaid tails in a couple of different variations in lucite and glitter, gorgeous. You've got golden toned conch style shells, there are wood and painted beads, there are these beautiful kind of elongated beads that are very reminiscent of a sediment imperial jasper. You've got gorgeous barrel beads with facets. You've got beads that are very, very similar to a Larimar. These are a resin, I believe. Absolutely gorgeous charms as well. I'm particularly in love with this little starfish. You've also got this sort of turquoise coloured bead as well. Loads in there to work with. Lots of sparklies and lots of beautiful oceanic tones. Let's make a bookmark. Let's close that up for the moment, and we'll come back to that when we're ready to add some dangles. Shall I show you how the bookmark works? So, if you're using a notepad, a little short, almost paperclip type bookmark will work really well. If you're reading a slightly larger book, then we're just going to slide one of the clips under and one of the clips over. I tend to grab quite a few pages, and then I can mark where I'm reading, and it's all quite lovely. So that's how I'm going to be making your bookmarks with you today. That's how they're going to be used, rather. So why don't we crack on? I've got 18 inches or so of 18 gauge round wire. I'm using quite a soft copper wire today. You can work with a medium temper. It will probably work a little bit better than the soft copper. First thing we're going to do is ensure that that is nice and smooth and warm. Let's give that a lovely sort of couple of strokes of heat, and I'm just going to curl that end over for now so it doesn't get knocked off, which often happens on my desk. So round at one end, I've made sure that I've cut flush the ends of my wire. I'm going to start by creating a lovely swooshing round form. And the key at this stage, so that we protect the paper of our books, is to make sure that the cut end of wire reaches the next swooshing section. So you might need to just push that a little bit so that that end nestles up against that next coiling section of wire, and then we're going to gently coil around. You can go for lots and lots of coils if you like. I tend to go for 2 full coils, maybe 3, and I try where possible to keep a reasonably even distance between those layers of spiral. You can bring them slightly closer together if you need to, just by pinching. Always mind your fingers. Once we've got the number of spirals for the inner section of the bird's wing clip, we're going to start drawing that wire away in a straightish line. And then when we've got this kind of dimension in mind, we're going to grab those chain nose pliers and push the wire back up towards where we started. So everything is currently nice and flat, as if it's between 2 panes of glass. What we're going to do now is just open that out slightly, use the heat of our bodies and the curvature of our thumbs to just bring that wire around. Working with a super soft wire as I am today, it's super easy. It's butter soft, really. And then we're going to trace all the way back down. Now what we're going to try and do today is imagine a line that passes right the way down the centre of the coil where we started, through the inner wing clip, and then we're going to create a bend that comes back up again at that point down at the base. Now I'm just going to mark that with my fingertips whilst I bring the wire back up, and it should start to form the familiar shape of the bird's wing clip when we get there. Now you'll notice that this is slightly imperfect, so because I'm working with that softer wire, or if I was working with a heavier wire, I've pre-warmed it so it will be nice and fluid at this stage. So what we're looking to do is to keep a reasonably similar distance between these outer wires, between the outer wire and the inner wire, and we're going to create another form that just skirts around and meets back up at the top of that invisible imaginary line. So I'm just going to play with this until it sits exactly how I want it to. pop it back on my line. I do like to have lines on my board. It helps me visualise things sometimes. And I'm just going to open that up very, very gently and move it until I'm reasonably happy with how that all looks. Now, bearing in mind we have this invisible line passing up the centre, that is where we want the wire to come away at the top. It's a bit warm today, so fingers are slipping. There we go. So I've marked where the wire is going to turn upright and pushing that wire up and away. So let's just give that a quick smooth through. That looks like it's reasonably all in line. If I actually put that on a straight line, I think it's slightly further over to the right than I want it to, but you can just take a second to realign that if you need to. So let's give that a squish and a squeeze, get that to sit, and then pull the wire away at the top like so. And what we're going to do now is to create a circular form. If you don't have much wire left, you can create a simple loop, but today I'm going to show you how to create a wrapped loop up at the top there. So if I pop my pliers across the wire like so and draw it away at a right angle, give that a quick smooth through, and then I'm going to grab my multi-step pail makers, which I love and use every single day. Let's use step number 4 to create a nice round form. So I'm just rotating the pliers until I get the size, shape and location that I want. And then I'm going to draw that wire all the way over the top. Let's get those pliers out of the way. Supporting the round form now. If you wanted to add in a length of chain, I think I have one. Let's just add in a length of chain real quick. I can always cut it out later. If you're going to add a pre-made charm directly onto the loop, now is the time to do it. So that's going to be my placeholder. If you wanted to add a design that has already got a closed loop, such as this piece of chain, slide it into that loop now. And then we're going to support across the loop, firmly holding it but not squashing anything, and certainly not pressing down where the wires cross over. Then we're going to take that tail all the way around until we fill that neck with lovely, neat coils of wire. So we filled that neckline. Let's trim that away using the flush side of our cutters, making sure you cut the right bit. I'm going to reserve that little section of wire because we can use it to create a charm in just a second. So let's just pinch that tail down, making sure it sits nice and flat. Now we are looking to have a little strength in this design so that there's tension between the inner wing and the outer wing, and at the moment it's still super floppy. So what we would do is take a second to make sure that we're happy with all of those lines. You do have the opportunity to just get this nice and neat and tidy. Then I'm quickly going to grab in my block and give this a little light hammer work. So I'm going to be using my gorgeous chasing hammer. When you're using a hammer and a block, what we're looking to do is to retain the shapes that we've made. So you can see that looks like quite an attractive little chevron shape. So I'm going to pinch that with my hand over here, and then I'm going to strike it to make it nice and firm. Always makes the camera wobble, the desk wobble, the everything wobble. So we've strengthened the lower part, and we want to concentrate on ensuring that this is exactly how we want it to. All the time we're striking down with that hammer. So I'm going to support over this side at the moment and hammer up around here and into the coil. If you don't support the wires that are open, the whole thing is going to spread. So that's starting to look a lot stronger. And you'll notice that I try to keep the wrapped loop section off of the block, and that just protects that I don't accidentally strike that wrapped loop, because I don't want to cause any striking down on that because it may weaken it. So let's just make sure that we have indeed pinched that firmly. It doesn't take long. If you don't have access to a hammer and block, you can take your chain nose pliers and you can repeatedly pinch along those flat surfaces. So that's the crux of your bird's wing bookmark. Let's just pop that in like so. So you can have the smaller wing at the front or the smaller wing at the back, whatever makes you happy. And it is really quite a quick and easy gift to make for somebody. If you wanted to add charms on, the easiest way that you can do this is with a little tiny coil charm, like the ones I've added onto this teeny tiny notebook clip. So I'm going to show you how to make that right now. Let's trim away that sharp end, pop it in the scrap pot that we don't accidentally stand on it later, especially now it's barefoot weather. Let's rotate that around to create a closed up coil. So whereas with the bird's wing paperclip or bookmark, we had a nice open spiral, we're going to go for a closed spiral. We're going to probably go for 2 little turns around from that starting point, like so, and then pull the wire away at a straight line angle. Give that a quick smooth through. Let's grab ourselves a gorgeous bead from this bead mix. Slide that into position, and then I'm just going to do a simple loop to add on to the top of our clip. Or you can rotate those pliers around super speedily, cross that over at the top, and then trim away with the flash side going towards what will remain on your design. Before we add that on, we're going to straighten it up, making sure that the cut end hits that angle that we created. Give it a really sharp squash, being respectful of your beads, and then add that on. So you could add the bead on here, or you could add it on the end of the chain. It's entirely up to you. Let's just add it on to the top of the clip for now. There we go. And we're just going to close that up now. And bring that back into position, give it a squish, and there you have it. Well, I'm Jem for Jessie James Beads, and this is my quick and easy make of a bookmark or a notebook mark. And I've used today Mermaid Grotto. Take a look at these babies. I'll see you guys soon.